Let's have some pleasure.
This might have happened to you. When you were a teenager, you noticed that all the cool kids were into addictions, like smoking and doing drugs and drinking, and you thought addictions were cool. And there might have been an adult in your life who wanted to straighten you out and pointed out that a lot of addictions lead to time in prison, lead to rehabs. Basically, addictions are not pretty. They don't lead to productive lives. And it was pointed out to you very clearly, so you decided, I'm not going to be one of those people with addictions. And instead of running after having a good time, you sat down and you studied and you took your work seriously and you got good marks and you graduated and you started a very productive life. You got a good job, and then a few years down the line, your mother's complaining that you're a workaholic. You're too into your work. And you're like, you just can't win. There's no way to win either way. You do the addictions, you're addicted. You don't do the addictions, you're addicted. There's no way to win. And you try to figure out, what is addiction? What's the definition of addiction? Is it that it hurts other people? Is that what makes something an addiction? But then, if your mother asks you to take out the garbage and you don't want to take out the garbage, does that mean you're addicted? Yes, of course. It's a good thing. You should listen to your parents. Do what your parents want. But not doing what somebody else wants means you're addicted. Not living for someone else means you're addicted. If you want to have only a job and never get married, that's your problem, not someone else's. So what's an addiction? It can't just be that you're just hurting someone else. Is that what an addiction could be? And is an addiction having too much pleasure or having too little? You didn't want to be cool, part of the cool kids, because that would lead to addiction. But then, when you were very serious and you weren't running after the pleasures that they were running after, then they claim that you are addicted also. Maybe Rabbi Noach Weinberg could shed some light on this.
But to focus your attention, I want you to recall a time, and I'm sure it happened to all of us, that we got lost in a bag of potato chips. You ever get lost in a bag of potato chips? You start eating 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're at the bottom of the bag and you don't feel so good, right? And you never meant to do this. And somehow it took over, right? Do you remember that? Now, which potato chip wasn't any more desirable, but you just kept going? You don't know. But there was a point where it was counterproductive. What happened? Kept going because we don't know how to stop, the thermostat is off. What's going on? This is a problem we've got to understand if we're going to live a sane life. But certainly if we're going to use that energy in any constructive purpose.
Which potato chip was no longer desirable and you just kept going? That's the key to addiction. The key is when something is no longer pleasurable, but you keep doing it. That is an addiction. And it could be with anything, with food, potato chips. If you're not having pleasure and you keep going, that is addiction. When you have a job, in the beginning, when you're working hard, in the beginning, it's pleasurable. It feels fulfilling. So you keep at it and you keep doing it. But you might not realize that it's no longer pleasurable. It's too much. When something is too much, when you're full already from something, it's not enjoyable anymore. When you first have a job, you realize how pleasurable it is. You notice how it feels so fulfilling, and you feel like you're accomplishing. The problem is when you're very one-track minded about that pleasure, and you don't realize that there's so many other pleasures in this world, and you don't pursue any other pleasures, like getting married and having kids. You just have one-track minded pleasure. Because what happens when you have that one-track minded pleasure, there's only so much pleasure that you get from it until it stops being pleasurable, because you're too involved. You're already full. You're already full of doing hard work. You're already full. You need all the other avenues of pleasure in your life. You want a life full of color, not just hard work, which is a very good thing. Hard work is a great thing. But you need to get married. Marriage is also pleasurable. And then, let's say someone's an alcoholic and they hurt people when they're drunk. I want to point something out. If you're happy with yourself, if you're enjoying life, a happy person does not hurt other people. A happy person spreads happiness, not hurt. So obviously, if you're drunk, you're not enjoying being drunk. Because if you were enjoying it, you would not spread pain and hurt other people. So now why would you continue to do something if it's not pleasurable? Why? It doesn't make any sense. So that is a very easy way to fix addiction. Just realize it's not pleasurable. A lot of addictions can be stopped just by that realization. It might have been pleasurable in the beginning, but at this point, it's not pleasurable. So stop. It's really that simple. A lot of addictions is that simple to stop. Just realize I'm not having pleasure. Why should I continue? So if it's being on the internet, just mindlessly with no enjoyment involved, stop. Go do something enjoyable. You want to have some downtime? Have downtime. Just have the kind of downtime that feels good, that's enjoyable. Have downtime that uplifts you, that gives you your energy back, not downtime that takes your energy away from you. Because then what was the point in that? Now, the problem arises when you realize that you're not having pleasure and you want to stop, but you can't. That's where the real addiction is. Where you want to stop. You're not enjoying it. You know you're not enjoying it. You want to stop, but you can't. So that's a little harder to overcome. But the truth is then, you're not really pursuing pleasure when you're doing that. When you're involving yourself in this addiction. You're not pursuing pleasure. You're pursuing comfort. You're pursuing feeling better about yourself or escaping reality. So realize you need to fill yourself up in a way that really fills yourself up, because these things that are not pleasurable are not really going to fill yourself up. You're just going to keep doing it because you're not finding a better way. Once you find a better way to fill yourself up, you'll be full and you won't need that addiction. The better way of filling yourself up might be having the pleasure of kindness, doing good things for other people, helping other people, doing meaningful things, adding meaning into your life, meaning into your daily routine, meaning, fulfillment, kindness. These are things that can actually fill you up. Feeling better about yourself, complimenting yourself, seeing the good in yourself, seeing the good in others. These are things that can actually fill you up. So number one, realize that it's not enjoyable. When you realize that something's not pleasurable, it's very easy to stop. And if you can't stop when you want to stop, it shows that you have a hole in your soul that needs to be full. And you need to find a way to fill it up. But don't you worry. You will find a way. So how can pleasure save you from addiction? Simple. Make sure you're having pleasure and you won't be addicted. Let's set out to do great things. You know you can.